So while I was learning JavaScript, I found out that one of the best practice projects was creating a to-do list. So I decided to create just that, but with my little spin on it, that I have always liked working with the command prompt, and also lately I have seen some terminal-styled websites. So I had the idea to create a to-do list, but what if it was styled like a terminal? So with the idea there, it was just left for the idea to become a reality, but that was going to be kinda hard knowing my limited experience with JavaScript and knowing that I am still learning JavaScript. Even though I had no idea if I was going to finish the project, I decided to try because I have never turned down a challenge, plus it was going to be good practice. I started by setting up the project by creating a file for the HTML code, and I did the same for CSS and JavaScript. Then I started planning what content I wanted inside the page. First I knew I wanted some ASCII art of the page name. Then I decided on the background color and the colors I wanted to have for the text. After that I started thinking about the commands I wanted to have. After some thinking I decided I wanted to have a help command that displays all the commands, an add to do command that adds a task, remove to do command that removes a task, list to do command that lists all the tasks, a clear command that clears the page, and last an about me command that tells you a little bit of information about me. So after I had all this figured out, I started working on the project. First I set up the HTML file with everything I needed, like a div for the ASCII art so I can style it later. Then I added some text explaining the website and how to use it, and I added an input that we will use to type in the commands. When that was finished, I made the page look like I wanted it to look. By setting the background color, styling the text, and positioning everything where I wanted it to be. On the animations, but this took some time because I needed to figure out how to make the animations that I wanted to have. Then I started testing what colors went well together. And with the HTML set up and the styling done, it was time for the thing I was putting out for quite some time now, the JavaScript. So I started by creating 3 let variables, one for the input, one for the div that all the content goes in, and one for the link with the clear class for the clear function. I also created an empty array where the tasks will be stored. And finally, I created an event listener for when the user presses down a key. After I had everything set up, I started thinking and working on the code. That took quite some time. I ended up rewriting everything because the first code had too many errors, bugs and flaws, but then I remembered about a thing called switch statement. So basically a switch statement is a statement that evaluates an expression, matching the expression's value against a series of case clauses, and executes statements after the first case clause with a matching value, until a break statement is encountered. The default clause of a switch statement will be jumped to if no case matches the expression's value. It took some time to figure this out, but after reading about it on Google and watching some YouTube videos, I finally figured it out. After I had this figured out, it was smooth sailing from there. I set up the switch statement, created functions for adding a task, removing a task, listing all the tasks, and lastly, I finished up the clear command. After 4 days of coding, Googling and watching videos about JavaScript, this is the finished project.